Okay, so here he is, an architect who died at 62 on April 11th, and we are on April 11th. An interesting architect, and as I mentioned, he found himself on the continuing line, starting perhaps with Gottfried Zemper. I said perhaps because I don't know who was before him, where his training took place, but Gottfried Zemper is an important point of reference, and I will talk about him as well. This was the man, Constantin Lipsius. He does look like a determined man. He does look maybe a little bit like an architect, but he could have looked like someone with a different interest or profession. Now, some private commissions. This residence in Leipzig from 1860 to 1861, he had a partnership with Oscar Mothes. And this is the building. Of course, the 19th century was eclectic, and but I still think this building shows a composition which is coherent and rather simple. In a way, Lipsius made a few steps forward towards what was to become modernity or modernism. Um, so mid-century in the 19th century was still a century in love with eclecticism, with ornamentation, with complexities, which later on became more and more challenged. But we see here in this building a simplicity of the architectural language, which is almost surprising for the time when it was built. Now, this is like a castle, Schloss. Um, and the castle it is. It looks like a castle. What can we do? They still built castles at that time. And here it is. This is a program, a castle, which became rather obsolete. I mean, I don't know if anyone would think now of building castles. Yes, they do seem obsolete. But who knows? Maybe in the future we'll have castles again and we'll have noblemen again and so on. Who knows? Another one in Leipzig, different kind. Sorry for the. I like sometimes to show, so-called details. This is, we wouldn't call it a castle, a schloss, but it's a big house. It has a rurality that is, I personally like because I grew up in Transylvania, and we have had and have buildings like this one. This one was part of Eastern Germany, so you can tell it was left in disarray. It was abandoned, and I hope it was restored. The mausoleum, 1891, 1893 in Dresden, and the mausoleum it is. We don't build mausoleums these days, but memory is, I think, still important and should be important. I don't think we reflect enough these days about what follows death, the so-called afterlife. We don't. And I think it's a loss because I think memory and, remembrance and, mausoleums and tombs, and it's not about morbidity really, it's about the conjunction between life and what might follow or will follow, domus eterna. And I think if we stop thinking about the afterlife and the finality of life, I think actually we deprive life of a richness which it deserves. Now, of course, today we'll not build a mausoleum like this with a big character, the big man on top of the roof. It would be ridiculous unless you are in North Korea. In North Korea, they do this sort of thing, but not in the rest of the world, not even in Cuba. So in a way, it's a funny picture because you have this policeman looking up at, you have this dialogue between two human beings, one belonging to the past and one belonging to the present. There is another one here on the left, looking at the same thing, but he is almost out of the picture. Anyway, I should not be carried away by too much amusement. Now he disappeared. Maybe I don't know, something happened by magic that the human presence on top of the mausoleum disappeared. Public commissions. So we saw until now, some private commissions. Now we go to the public commissions, which are, of course, larger. Now we look at this hospital in Leipzig. I don't know if it still exists, but you can tell from the picture, it was a time without cars. What a relief. I mean, there were carriages and horses, but no cars. I actually like cities where you don't see a car for a change. Anyway, an engraving of the same hospital with people selling things on the street. Can you imagine in Germany something like this? The Royal Art Academy and Exhibition Building in Dresden. This is maybe his most important building. Now Lipsius Bau, 1883, 1894. He was made fun of because of the cupola here. Because the malicious ones thought that this looks like an orange squeezer. But the truth is a remarkable building, or a complex of buildings in an important city, Dresden. Now, why is Sir Norman Foster's dome above the Reichstag in Berlin better than this? I don't actually know. So this was built by Constantin Lipsius, an architect about whom I learned myself just 1 or 2 years ago. Dresden was bombed and it suffered during the war, but still has some remarkable buildings. These architects we don't talk about usually are architects who, some of them during their lifetime had significant careers, but even if they didn't have, I think it's important to know that we are not alone in the world, and we are not the first architects in the world. There were other architects in other centuries And I think we should contemplate their works and reflect on them. Actually, this I find this rather. I mean, I understand the maliciousness of the malevolent ones, but somehow it seems to me to have a modernity that is almost beyond the one employed by Sir Norman Foster at the Reichstag. Reichstag. Well, he did the whole building, not just that part. What is interesting is that the malevolent comments refer to this and not to the more so-called conventional part of the building, which is actually the larger part by far. So a resistance to modernity always was and always is and always will be. People don't like to be shocked or don't like to be surprised too much. They want a little bit of surprise, but not too much. When it is too much, there lurks danger, and people don't love danger in general. They don't like to be challenged. In Dresden, also, maybe you know, is that controversial, so to speak. It's not, I don't know if it's controversial, but it's strikingly provocative cinema by Kop Himmelblau, which I showed a few days ago. Sacred commissions. We know what this means. A church in Wachau in 1866, 1867. Even if it is ruined, I think is rather impressive. I mean, here we have already the vertical forest now, or the very vertical garden, as it might be called today. Important architects today do exactly this, which here nature herself did by itself. And what can we say? To those who think that we can outsmart nature, I can only say that, yeah, sure. No, we cannot outsmart nature. It's impossible. And it's not even desirable, I would say. Why would we outsmart nature, as Willie Marsh said? No, I disagree with him. I mean, I love this green which climbed on the walls very much. Let it climb, the more the better. The building was built by Constantin Lipsius. Preservation work. Thomas Kirche in Leipzig, 1877, 1889. Johann Sebastian Bach is buried in this church. I forgot about this, and we should remember. So Bach is buried in a church built by Constantin Lipsius. This is the church. Great, great, great composer, Bach. What can we say? Johanneskirche in Gera. This is also a large church. Now, if today one would build such a church of this, amplitude, would consider himself or herself a lucky architect, no, and a significant architect. Well, we don't even know of his name. By accident, I myself found out about him, and look at this church. Now you could say, so what? It's an old church. Well, maybe we should appreciate these old churches, because some of them are splendid as architectures, and they have a certain age, and I don't think they should be ignored or dismissed. Constantin Lipsius again. Quite a spire, quite tall. Another church in Leipzig. This one also impressive. So again, this was not the smallest architect in Germany at that time, far from it. Constantin Lipsius. Another one, also in Leipzig. His own grave is here. So, yes, I think we should remember this name, Constantin Lipsius.